It seems like Fortnite just doesn't take risks with their gameplay anymore. Now, I don't want you guys to think that in this video I'm kind of glazing over all of Fortnite and saying that they've never taken risks or that they're not going to anytime in the future, but right now, especially while we're in Galactic Battle, it really seems like Fortnite has kind of lost its edge for this season. Like, they're kind of scared to try anything truly new anymore, like truly anything groundbreaking or really innovative like we've seen them do so many times in the past. Every new season now feels like kind of a remix of stuff we've already seen, just kind of dressed differently, kind of in a different skin. I don't think I felt genuinely surprised by a season in a long time, and that's kind of a problem for me. You know, I used to feel like Fortnite kind of surprised me every single season with some type of crazy thing that was added with the gameplay, some type of new mechanic, you know, sprinting, sliding, something like that, you know, being able to swim, being able to fish, stuff like that, and I don't feel like Fortnite has done that this season and hasn't done it in quite a while, actually. Now, I'm not hating on Fortnite, I just miss when they took really big swings, even if they didn't always land. You know, of course, Fortnite did do the Godzilla stuff, but it seems like ever since then, they really haven't been super out there when it comes to taking risks in the game and innovating the gameplay. Now, I'd like to specifically talk about Chapter 6, Season 2, as well as Galactic Battle, the season we're currently in. And to be honest, I feel like those two are kind of wasted potential. Galactic Battle should have been absolutely huge, and I talked about this before the season came out, and I think a lot of people hold the same opinion, that this season looked like it could be really fun and very groundbreaking. But most of what it gave us had already been in the game. You know, we got the Mandalorian jetpack. It's just a reworked jetpack, or almost an exact one-to-one of what we had back in Chapter 2, Season 5, along with his mythic sniper that we got again in this season. Additionally, things like the Wookiee bowcaster. Now, I wouldn't feel as bad about these things if they were added from the get-go, but when Fortnite adds these in as big, you know, kind of like mini season updates, it really just kind of feels anticlimactic because we already know how they work, especially if you played back then, which, you know, that could be why Fortnite is adding these things in, because some people didn't get to experience them. But for people who have played when these were in the game the first time, it really does feel really anticlimactic and just kind of boring, especially when they hyped up these updates like there was going to be all types of new content, and that really wasn't the case. The Star Wars pool is already so deep in Fortnite that nothing felt truly fresh in the game. A lot of it felt kind of like leftovers or kind of like reskinned stuff that we've already had before. Even the brand new stuff with all of the blasters and everything they added didn't really hit. Like, they were cool ideas, but really didn't have an impact for me. Nothing really game changing. I did really like that Fortnite kind of went out of their way and made the entire loot pool blasters. I think that was a really cool thing, and definitely something they should have done to make this feel like a Star Wars season, because if they hadn't have done that, this really would have been 10 times worse than I feel it is right now. And I don't want you guys to get me wrong. Of course, Star Wars Galactic Battle is not like the worst season ever. Of course, I do have some fun with it, but I just had my expectations really high, especially with everything that we saw, including the updates and the history of mini seasons in Fortnite. I was just kind of disappointed by it overall, and that's okay. You know, sometimes I think things are going to be better than they are, and that's okay. That might happen again in the future, just letting you know. Now, overall, everything in Galactic Battle, and of course not everything is recycled, but a lot of it, a large majority of it feels recycled. You know, new weapons, they kind of just feel like old weapons with new models, sounds, and names overall. Even the blasters, you know, they're really not that unique, and I know there's only so much stuff that you can do with them because they are blasters from like the movie and the franchise in general, but every season gives us a new meta. It's supposed to give us a new meta, and that used to be how it was back in the day, but it seems like it's always just SMGs, ARs, shotguns, just kind of shuffled around. Now, this kind of delay this feeling with the blasters because it felt like they were new and brand new, but you still have, you know, your assault rifles, your SMGs, your shotguns. What I did really like is when Fortnite gave, you know, some of the weapons like perks that they had back in Chapter 6 Season 2, where they had, you know, some stuff gave you like a different effect, like an impulse grenade effect, but recently it just feels like everything is kind of the same. Now, the new ideas that we have aren't even really gameplay driven that much anymore. It always seems to be like skins, collabs, and maybe a small little map tweak, but it's like Fortnite thinks like reskinning something is the same as innovating, and it's really not. I miss the days when Fortnite would do something innovative and completely brand new every single season, where something that was added wasn't remotely related to what we have before. It seems like Fortnite really expects us to get super excited for stuff to be brought back, and definitely in a Star Wars season, you know, the stuff that we've had before should have been brought back, but I don't like how they promoted it as like, you know, a big exciting mid-season update when that's really not what it was for me, at least. Now, I really want to emphasize this because this is kind of like the meat and potatoes of this video, is that Fortnite continues to do kind of safe season themes. You know, we've got Star Wars, we've got Marvel. We kind of get it at this point. Fortnite really likes to do collabs with big, you know, Disney franchises, and these collabs obviously are cool. They're very cool to see, and there's all types of different stuff they can do with Marvel, but when it's every other season, and we've had it so many times, there's really not enough time for us to get used to having this not in the game and not in the forefront. It stops feeling special, in my opinion. Fortnite keeps going for what is guaranteed to sell instead of what is like creatively risky, if you know what I mean, to advance the game and do something that we haven't seen before. I feel like, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I can kind of tell that Fortnite may be a little bit afraid to try original things, to give us, you know, completely new vibes, you know, something kind of unpredictable. And this is something that I want to talk about here, and now how season themes and collabs are almost directly related. If you guys have noticed, obviously Fortnite wants to release collabs that are related to the season theme, so it makes somewhat of sense. They don't always do that, but it seems like they try to overall. Maybe Fortnite continues to do themes that are kind of, you know, general and more broad, like not specific. Like, you know, I've seen a lot of people say they want a Wild West theme because it's easier to do collabs for, let's say, a superhero theme or, you know, a crime theme than something else like Wild West. Maybe they're doing this because they want to have more potential for collabs, and honestly, I think that makes a lot of sense, but it does suck for people who want more specific Fortnite themes. Now, what exactly did Fortnite used to do? I remember when they added things like shopping carts, you know, we had the ballers, the planes, the mechs. Like, I know those are all vehicles, but those are things that we literally had not seen in Fortnite before. And I understand that Fortnite has done a lot of stuff, and the more stuff that you do, the harder it is to make something that's like innovative and new. But I don't really agree with that because Fortnite has done plenty of things to surprise me in the past and plenty of really, really awesome things. You know, we had the Rift Zones. Those were oft awesome in Season X. They could even bring those back at this point because it's been such a long time since we've seen them. You know, they used to really, really innovate with live events, which they've continued to do, but they have definitely kind of slowed down on that front. You know, the floating island, when that was revealed, was really, really cool, and it's kind of gotten overused. Like, I'm not really sure why that's still in the game at this point. I don't think anybody goes after that medallion, but Fortnite was doing stuff that we had not seen before, and they just don't really do that anymore. You know, Chapter 2 added something crazy with swimming and fishing, just like simple stuff like that, but it changed how the game felt and how it was played entirely. Now, it seems to me that they've kind of stopped evolving the gameplay itself almost completely, just kind of reusing what's already been done. Of course, we did have like the wall jumping and the rolling and things like that, but those weren't really things that you could like practically use. Like, I never really found myself like wall jumping actually in a game, like unless it was on accident, or rolling when I didn't want to. That was cool stuff, but I'd like a little bit more innovative stuff that we haven't seen before, like even in other games. Fortnite used to do that all the time. Now, what exactly should they be doing? I want them to give us risky season themes, and that's what this really boils down to, is mostly the season themes that we see in Fortnite. Stuff that we haven't even thought of before. I want a Wild West season that's not tied to anything else. Or, you know, a space season that goes full on sci-fi. I'm talking like new rules, new physics, brand new weapons, where we can go to multiple planets. You know, just introduce mechanics that flip how the game plays. You know, like gravity changes, movement systems, base building limits. I think stuff like that would be really, really cool. Like when Fortnite all of a sudden just decided to remove building from the game for like a week, 2 weeks, that was absolutely insane. And it doesn't seem like Fortnite does stuff like that anymore to really get people excited and play the game because something absolutely groundbreaking is happening. Now, stop just giving us new loot pools. I want them to change the way that we play the game, not just the tools that we use to play the game, if that makes sense. Now, I want to emphasize here again, you guys, that I don't think Fortnite is failing, and this isn't a complaining video. I don't hate the game. I'm not like, you know, just crying and mad. I'm not mad at all. It's just a conversation. I feel like Fortnite is really, really just kind of coasting, though. I feel like they've settled into this sort of comfort zone of kind of just do what works, do the collabs that are popular, and the excitement that used to come from a new season, it's just slowly kind of dwindling down as we go on through the seasons, and maybe this is recency bias with how I feel about, you know, Galactic Battle and how this season is going, but it's really kind of going downhill for me right now. Hopefully they do surprise me with the new superhero theme season. Of course, that's something else that we've seen multiple times, even though it's not based on an IP. We've already had 2 Marvel seasons, and we had kind of a loosely superhero theme in season 4, even though that was kind of a movie set theme, I think, but the actors were superheroes. So I don't want to get too hyped for when this new season drops. I will try to temper my expectations a little bit because I know exactly what to expect sometimes. Hopefully hopefully I don't do that with this new season, and hopefully you guys will appreciate that, and so I don't end up changing my mind once again. I will temper my expectations a little bit, but I'm not saying that Fortnite sucks now. I'm saying I just want more from it. The best seasons come from the weird risks that they do. Just look back at Chapter 5, Season 3 Wrecked. That was awesome. I absolutely loved that season, and I don't want them to do the safe bets anymore. It's time for Epic to stop playing it safe and start surprising us again. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. How do you feel about the season themes that Fortnite has been doing recently? Let me know. Drop a like on today's video. You watched all the way to the end. You must have enjoyed, so drop a like. Subscribe to the channel. I make videos like these every single day. Use code PROZEROYT to help support me further, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.